So one of the people that we've long followed in the industry is Eric Cressy, and he's got a lot of different good exercises with soft tissue work. He's kind of the one that first turned us on to the importance of all this stuff in strength training. So overhead mobility work is very, very largely due to just tight, knotted muscles. Basically from your hips up. Could be triceps, lats, could be chest, could be your back. So really making sure that we get as many of those knots out as possible. So first thing we want to always try to focus on is our T-spine. Really we could write this article on any movement, any joint, and you need mobility in that part of your back. Those knots, tight muscles in there, it's just a bad recipe for really any type of movement. So oftentimes the foam roller is not quite enough to get in there to those muscles. So we like to take a double lacrosse ball, just kind of tape together. And you're just going to lay on the ground, kind of position that so that your spine is in the gap and not right on one of those lacrosse balls. And then anytime we use the lacrosse ball, that range of motion is much, much smaller. And you're really just targeting those knots all in that mid to upper part of your back. So unlike a foam roller where you're just kind of going all the way up, all the way down, this is like kind of the next phase where you really target a very specific set of muscles. So rolling out your T-spine, that's definitely one. Additionally, too, rolling out your lats. So your lats play a big role in anything overhead, regardless of your grip. So we always want to make sure that we roll our lats out prior to any overhead movement. Do so simulating the overhead grip. So I want my arm extended, and then nice and slow, I'm going to get that whole lat area. Take my time with that. Do a couple of sets of 10 on each side. You can also use the rumble roller. This one is going to get in there a little bit deeper. The cross ball you wouldn't really get in that area. So those are two. Additionally to those, we want to go back to the single lacrosse ball. So much research in modern day just mobility work and science just really implicates sitting at a desk all day as being a death sentence for any type of mobility. One of those is your external rotators back here. Sitting and typing all day, you're just hunched. So it's kind of that same thing of shoulder protraction, except you're holding that all day long. So basically, these external rotators don't get used, they get stretched, they get knotted up. So you really want to make sure that you go and roll those out. So kind of the same thing like the back. I want it to position myself before I go down there. This is a very, very small set of muscles. So for this, I'm not doing a whole lot of range of motion, but I'm finding those big knots and just kind of driving that ball in, rolling them out. So you can do that for as much time as you need. I also will go up to a barbell and do that. There's a barbell across the squat rack. I'll just jam that part right in there and really just kind of roll that out. Last but not least is your chest. It's really hard to foam roll on your chest. It's just awkward. It doesn't really get in there that much. So using a lacrosse ball, kind of going up against the wall is the most ideal scenario for this. So all you have to do, again, the range of motion on this lacrosse ball stuff is so small, you don't need a huge area of space. So just going to take the lacrosse ball, put it up against the wall, and then with my arm out, again, overhead position, I'm just rolling, really driving my chest muscles into that lacrosse ball. And once you do that, you can feel just so many knots in areas that you didn't think were tight. You will definitely feel this one. Obviously then you would switch it out, go on the same side. So make use of all the tools, foam rollers, rumble rollers, lacrosse balls, single and double, and really get in there and start to kind of actively take control over that tight soft tissue that's involved surrounding the main joint of the movement.